You know that moment when intimacy starts getting real and suddenly your nervous system has notes. Not loud ones, not big dramatic ones, just quiet opinions on the situation. You might still want to be there. You might still like the person. You still might feel very connected. There could be a lot of physical, emotional, intellectual chemistry. And yet something in your body shifts. You hesitate. You go a little bit quiet. You start overthinking. You feel the urge to just slow things down or pull back, or the energy just changes. Okay, that moment right there is what I want to talk about. Hi, I am Kristen. Welcome back to my space where we have grounded conversations about our deepest connections and how to trust how our body responds within them. These experiences are incredibly common, and it's part of our growth process of really learning how to trust ourselves without having to justify how we feel. There is nothing wrong with you. You don't have a lack of desire. You're not emotionally immature. It's not that you're trying to sabotage your connections. It's simply the nervous system responding before the mind has a chance to make sense of what's happening, before the mind can create a story and all this meaning making around why this is happening and what you've done and what they're doing. And it can show up emotionally, physically, sexually, in conversations. This can happen with also our deepest friendships as we dive deeper into that expression. So often this comes up when when there's like a new level of depth that is occurring or about to occur. When the nervous system has notes, it doesn't always have to be dramatically obvious. It's those subtle internal responses that sound something like, let's slow this down. Are we sure we want to do this? Are we sure about this? I suddenly need space. Maybe you feel like making a joke to break up the tension. You're thinking to yourself, why is my mind everywhere except in this present moment here and now? Why am I staring at my body while I'm really flying somewhere up here? You know, maybe you think to yourself, oh, I'm really scanning for like the exits and when can I get out? There's nothing wrong with you, absolutely not. This is just simply information, and your nervous system is responding to intensity. It's not danger necessarily, but it's an intensity of depth, and there can be a little bit of overwhelm that feels chaotic within your body, or you might feel it coming at you from someone else. Here's something important around the nervous system and intimacy. The notes don't mean no. They don't have to mean no. They don't mean that you're disinterested. They don't mean that you don't want intimacy, you or the other person. Very often the notes mean that something is happening faster than the body or the heart is ready to absorb. The nervous system doesn't speak in words. It speaks in sensations and these subtle behaviors. And a lot of these notes are about pacing of things, not avoidance. What I've noticed in myself is that when I fight the notes, things get harder. I'm more in stress and anxiety. But when I listen to them, without immediately obeying or overriding them, something softens just enough so that I can bring in the clarity that I need to really know what I want, what I need. Slowing down doesn't have to mean shutting down. Listening doesn't have to mean backing away. Sometimes it just means letting the body catch up to what the heart already knows. I was dating a guy a number of years ago, and for about 6 months, and this guy was constantly breaking up with me. Like, once we got to, I don't know, about 2 months in or something like that, he was constantly almost breaking up with me. Now, I'm sure his nervous system was responding to, oh my God, I don't want this to get heavy. I don't want to, I feel overwhelmed by the idea of commitment. I don't want to feel obligated. All kinds of things like that. I'm sure were coming up for him. But within myself, in this constant sort of like him wanting to break up, and my response was to kind of talk about why we shouldn't break up. Because my nervous system was feeling yucky about not feeling enough. Or, I need to, if we could only just stay together a little bit longer, he would see how great it was and what great chemistry we have. And I mean, this was a guy that was, constantly making up just the weirdest excuses and almost like wanting me to talk him into it and to staying together, like he needed that kind of attention. So it was a really interesting game that was being played. And eventually, I got a text from him one day just saying, I'm actually going to Palm Springs with some other woman. And I never heard from him again. And I knew it was coming, but I didn't feel well, for months leading up to it. That this desire that I had to sort of prove that I was good enough, that I could show him in some way, it overrid how anxious I was feeling, how stressed I was feeling, wondering where he stood, wondering, doubting myself and my appeal to him. So, it's an example of like, it took me time, to listen to myself and to be able to then lean into the relief of, oh God, I don't have to worry about him anymore. That's just gone. I don't even have to worry about that. And the next time something like that happened, because it inevitably will happen again as we are dating around, I remember very clearly after a couple of weeks, just like, I can't even imagine what it's going to feel like in a couple of months with this person. I have no idea where they stand. I never know what's going on. They're making excuses not to go out, or it's all these different things. And I just was like, no, I'm not going to do this again. I'm letting this go. My life is worth more than taking up space in my body and time away from the things and the people that make me feel good about myself. I mean, I'm much better off sitting watching Netflix with Chinese food and feeling peace of mind than I am wondering about what somebody else is thinking and what they're doing and allowing them to hijack my peace of mind, right? And you're more worthy too. Intimacy doesn't fall apart because the nervous system speaks up. And that's word. It often deepens when we learn how to listen. Having a deeper, more intimate relationship with ourselves naturally cultivates that with others. When we allow room for regulation instead of rushing clarity, it's sort of like a dupe of clarity as opposed to real clarity. We don't want to force certainty. We want to be certain. And you are so worthy and deserving of that. Thank you so much for being here with me today. My name is Kristen. I also host journaling and meditation lives if you want to go a little bit deeper to cultivate that relationship in yourself, make yourself a priority. I would love to see you there and to connect with you in those spaces. So feel free to hit the subscribe button if you'd like to always be notified when those are happening. And please give me a thumbs up if you got something valuable and were supported in some way, so that YouTube can magically take it out to other people to support them as well. And I would be so deeply appreciative of that. And I will see you next time. Bye.